Hey guys, Level Cap here and welcome to another episode of This Week in Gaming. Unfortunately, this week was a bit of a roller coaster for me personally. The Battlefield 5 reveal went off with some pretty mixed reactions, and then shortly afterward, I received news that the well-known gaming critic and YouTuber John Bain, aka TotalBiscuit, passed away at the age of 33. He had been fighting bowel cancer since 2014. Prior to and even after his diagnosis, TotalBiscuit was an outstanding figure in the gaming community. To me, he was the best of us, and I looked up to him as a role model even though we were the same age. As I built my YouTube channel from the ground up, he was already a well-established game critic with a powerful and honorable voice. Without question, he inspired me to do better and hold myself to higher standards morally and ethically. I asked him several times for personal advice regarding ethical dilemmas, and he was always willing to take time away from his busy schedule to help me out through some difficult situations. He always stood up for gamers and slammed companies for their shady business practices. We are all worse off without him. But I take some solace in knowing that I'm not the only one who was inspired and changed by him, and I know his influences have changed the gaming world forever. John, you will be missed, but your influences will live on in me and many others. Now, it seems like a bit of a disservice to continue on with the weekly gaming news, but I know he'd want me to, and frankly, the show must go on, so let's get into it. Battlefield 5 has been revealed. The 90-minute long reveal event gave us our first look at the game in what was ultimately to be a very divisive trailer. On one hand, many fans were disappointed by the trailer and even the lack of information, but on the other hand, DICE has given us a ton of info to talk about both through the event and the community members in the Game Changers program. A lot is changing for Battlefield 5. Health regen is totally different. Health and ammo packs require more elaborate and physical interactions. Random bullet deviation has been replaced with a much better predictable recoil system. Customization and progression seems like it's going to have a ton of content. Players can now unlock variants of each class with unique skills and customization options, as well as unlock weapon customizations by leveling up individual weapons. There is frankly a ton more to talk about, and I've been covering it all in detail, so be sure to check out those videos that came out earlier this week. With everything we've learned so far, questionable trailer aside, it sounds like Battlefield 5 could be a major shift in the franchise and hopefully the right direction. Now, when it comes to Battlefield 1, in celebration of Battlefield 5, they created something called the Road to Battlefield 5, which is a series of unlocks and cool skins and stuff you can get leading up all the way to the Battlefield 5 launch. So I already got a new melee weapon. There's a few new skins in there. On the 29th, there'll be some more new skins to unlock. They're pretty easy to unlock so far. So if you want to kind of top off your collection of skins and stuff in Battlefield 1, now is a good time to do that. In addition to that, they added 5 new weapons to the game if you pre-order Battlefield 5. So if you don't like pre-ordering, you won't be able to get these weapons. The good news, though, is that these weapons are just slight variants on weapons that already exist in the game, and frankly, none of them are particularly impressive, so you're not missing out on any sort of amazing gun that everybody else is going to get. Last week, we reported on some undocumented changes made to PUBG in its latest patch. One such change made to gunshot sounds has since been detailed by developers. In a post on the game's Steam community page, they apologize for not addressing such a major change in the patch notes and promise to avoid mistakes like this in the future. As for what they actually did, essentially they updated the spatial sound system to include gunshot sounds. Previously, it only included player movement sounds, explosions, and empty cartridges. This made it hard to tell where shots were coming from and also made it basically impossible to tell if they were coming from above or below you. The updated system should be a massive improvement, but it's still a work in progress as some sounds were adversely affected by the changes. A new event mode is now live for PUBG that pits 100 players against each other with nothing but ghillie suits, crossbows, and melee weapons. It'll be live until Sunday night for PC players. Console players can finally get to play the game's desert map, Miramar. The map has been available via the console's test servers, but was recently added to the live servers. Several performance issues were discovered and hopefully resolved while the map was in testing. The map update also includes some general performance improvements. Epic are taking steps to give Fortnite players a practice area. They've added the first version of a new limited time mode called Playground LTM version 1. It has better loot, longer matches, and instant respawns. Such practice modes are considered essential by esports players and people that just generally take the game more seriously. Considering Epic are putting up $100 million in prize pool money for Fortnite esports events, it makes sense that they're beginning to invest in the game's competitive side. Hopefully PUBG will follow suit soon. Players have been requesting a practice range and private server support for both games essentially since they launched. In more technical Fortnite news, a recent update to the game's netcode has dramatically reduced lag between players. According to Battle Nonsense, the delay is now on par or even better than CSGO's. The interesting thing is that CSGO runs at double Fortnite's update rate. For all details, be sure to check out Battle Nonsense's video, which is linked below. This update really gets Fortnite up to snuff for the competitive scene. That said, Epic are still working on improving server stability as there are still issues at the start of rounds and during intense moments throughout the matches. There might be hope for H1Z1 after all. Despite losing over 90% of its player base on PC since PUBG's launch, the game's open beta on PS4 racked up 1.5 million players in the first 24 hours. Of course, stability and performance issues have plagued the open beta. The developers are currently working on getting the game to a more stable state. Issues aside, it seems like Daybreak have managed to port the game fairly well. It doesn't have the same level of performance and gameplay issues that PUBG currently has or that Fortnite had in the few months after launch. Hopefully they'll iron out the remaining issues ahead of its full retail launch. Battalion 1944 is getting a major update. Many of the changes are things that have been suggested by the community. It'll include an updated version of the Wartide game mode, which is similar to CSGO's Bomb Defuse mode. A seasonal progression system called Battle Rank will reward players as they play. The update will also include a new map called Savoia. Other changes include new skins that directly reflect the player's rank, rebalancing, bug fixes, and more progress towards what is essentially a total overhaul of the game in preparation for its final retail release next year. Battalion 1944 hasn't really captivated the masses with its attempt to recreate the look and feel of old-school COD titles. That said, the devs seem to be committed to making it the best game it can be. Far Cry 5's first DLC has been revealed. It's a Vietnam War themed expansion for the game where you'll be playing as Wendell Redler, an NPC from the main game. You fight to save POWs and wage guerrilla warfare against the Viet Cong. It's a big departure from the base game's rural Montana setting, and actually sounds kind of awesome and like it would really fit in with the Far Cry style game mechanics. After a successful crowdfunding campaign to the tune of $3.2 million and over 22,000 pre-orders, the hardware startup OSSIC has gone out of business. They were developing a pair of high-end headphones specifically designed to use with surround sound audio in games and media. In total, they shipped roughly 80 units and only even manufactured 250 in total. Backers of their various crowdfunding campaigns won't be receiving refunds. In our final story this week, Apple rejected Valve's application for the Steam Link app. The app allows Steam users to stream their library of games from their PC to their phone over their home network. It's a huge development for PC gaming, and the Android version seems to be working great on capable devices. As for why Apple rejected the application, it sounds like they don't want Valve competing with iOS games or the App Store platform in general. Regardless of the reason, it's a pretty frustrating move on Apple's part. There are plenty of remote desktop and game streaming apps available on iOS currently. The Stream Link app has been highly anticipated by gamers since it was announced a few weeks ago. Hopefully Valve and Apple can sort out the problem, since technically it just adds value to owning an iPhone. That wraps it up for today's episode of This Week in Gaming. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.